All right, good afternoon and welcome to our channel. Today I'm going to be discussing how to get Section 8 if you work full time or have full time employment. But before I get started, my name is Jay. I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com. And today I'm going to present a few options in terms of income and whether or not you'd be able to utilize federal housing or Section 8. But before I do that, let me pull up some company information. As you can see in the background here, we provide our company's phone number as well as website and email. Do keep in mind my office is by appointment only, and there is a cost to that as we do not accept federal grants to operate. Okay, so I'm going to bring in our notes real quick, and I'm also going to move my face off to the right. I'm going to move some notes in for those that may have learning disabilities or want to reference notes and commentary from the video. Okay, these notes will be in the description as well as comment section. So, can you get Section 8 if you work full time? And the answer to that would be yes in most cases. Full time employment does not automatically disqualify you from Section 8. The Housing Choice Voucher Program is primarily based on your total household income and family size and income limits where you live, not whether you work full time. So, that hopefully that'll help you in that respect. Your wages, overtime, tips, bonuses, self employment income generally count, but a full time worker may still qualify if the housing expects an annual income that is below the applicable local limit, which in most cases, the local limit is going to be the area median income. And as an example, if there's a property, the AMI for that area out there is 100,000, and you have a requirement of 50% AMI, which would mean that you're earning 50,000 or less. So let's go into some key rules here. For most new applicants, a household must qualify for very low income, generally at or below the 50% AMI, as I had mentioned earlier, and the local area and household size and the number of people that reside in the dwelling. And then the housing authorities must ensure that at least 75% of those of you that meet the 50% AMI or extreme low income would be guaranteed at least 75% of the vouchers available or housing. So income limits are not nationwide. A full-time worker earning the same salary may qualify in one city and be over income, and in another, the HUD has limits that may also vary by household size. So depending where you live in the country, you may be over or below. So different geographical areas are funded differently, and of course, your AMI or area median incomes will go up and down dramatically depending on how small or big the city is, and of course, the local rental market. So, how rent changes when you work? Well, if you're approved, you don't receive free rent, obviously. So, full welfare is not in the gambit anymore. It hasn't been for decades. So, typically, what's going to happen is your local housing authority will calculate your share based on verified household income and allowable deductions. And we'll make a video pretty soon about that as well, which can be deducted. If you choose a unit priced above the voucher's payment standard, your initial share can be lighter or higher, and generally up to 40% of the adjusted monthly income to move in. So let's just use a simple principle idea or concept with this. The housing authorities are typically going to cover about 70% of your rent, and then you're going to be required to give 30% of whatever income that you make. That's barring all other examples, okay? And so that makes it much simpler. Now, if you have a higher AMI or higher income, that could influence it from being you paying 30% of your income all the way up to 40%. Okay. If you already have a voucher and begin working, getting a job or receiving a raise that's not automatically in Section 8, you must report the income change according to your household's authority's written policy, which is going to usually be the administrative plan for most PHAs that they file with HUD. If you want to copy the administrative plan to be able to get the details, then you can do a Freedom of Information Act, better known as a FOIA, and then you can request a digital copy or a physical copy of their administrative plan to be able to look at the rules and policies. If the calculated housing assistance payments reaches zero, the HAP contract automatically end 180 calendar days from the last payment. So many times people are able to participate in the program, but as they earn more and more income, they may actually zero themselves out. And so that's specifically what it's addressing. If you remain in a zeroed out state where you're not paying anything towards rent because you're pretty much making more than what's required to remain in the program, then you're given about 180 days at paying nothing before they boot you out. So it's not instantaneous if you all of a sudden come into more money, higher employment, or wages. Okay. Important reminders: report all income and income changes on time or as indicated in your HAP contract or whatever the PHA or Public Housing Authorities indicates they would like for you to do. Key payment stubs, offer letters, employment verification, and other records of hours and overtime. Ask your housing authority for his current administrative plan, as we discussed, income reporting policy and payment standards, along with utility allowances. And remember, there's still deductions for many medical costs and other things, so that can also be identified through the administrative plan. Some moving to work housing authorities have approved local rules that differ from standard HCV practices. So, moving to work program under HUD works under a different set of policies and procedures in most cases. And then, of course, there are even more different rules as you look at that program from one housing authority to another. So, the bottom line is you can work full time, receive Section 8 if your household income remains within the applicable local limit rules. Working may require a reduced subsidy for employment alone and is not a reason to deny or terminate assistance. And I'm going to put up sources down here for Housing Choice Voucher and tenants. Code of Federal Regulation Title 24, 982.201, eligibility and targeting, as well as finally the HUD 2026 income limits, along with Code of Federal Regulation 982.445 and a 180-day HAP contract rule. So clearly there's a lot. This has a lot of legs. And when you deal with federal code, you'll quickly learn there's probably over 10,000 federal procedures or code of regulation. So for this, respectfully speaking here, as long as you're meeting the income guidelines, you're not exceeding them, then you'd likely be able to keep this with or without a job. Okay. I've enjoyed talking with you guys. We make live videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, usually between 10 and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then, of course, we do EDUs or educational videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays for those that are interested in pre-records on subject matters like this. That's simple with notes, okay? I've enjoyed having you guys. We look forward to seeing you again in about a day or two. Thank you, and goodbye.